We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast. What just happened? Why does your face look horrified?
Listen. Okay, I switched to the scene, and all of a sudden, everything just started snapping all over the place. At first, you were big, and I was normal. Even though I had literally just told you a minute ago that I thought I was going to have to adjust it. I'm going to be upfront with that. And then all of a sudden, you snap back to normal, and I was tiny, and then I was normal, and you were huge, and now we're normal. So I didn't have to touch anything. Hands off the keyboard. I'm not touching anything. I'm done. I'm just gonna sit here and talk soccer and sogs.
Oh, Brandon, we got plenty of soccer to talk about. We got 2 games in the books. We got 2 more coming this weekend. We got playoffs starting to take shape, and
yeah,
I just want to address something with the fan base. It's about the fan base. I can't do it with these Facebook groups anymore. I just can't.
Oh, I actually haven't looked at all.
Well, yeah, so the big one's the MASL Off the Wall, and it's just boomer. It is the most boomer Facebook group I'm in outside of the Yankees fan group that I'm in. If I have to see another person ask, so what are the playoffs? You know how you can find that? You can Google MASL playoffs, or you can just go into the group and search for playoffs, and you'll find your answer. I don't need that question multiple times a day showing up in my feed because people that have apparently never learned how to use the internet are suddenly discovering it.
So it's the people that Google.
Probably, yeah. And then, for a while we had In the Box going strong, and Matt and Adam were doing things. And then they had a divorce, and now In the Box is kind of dead except for Huber. And Illegally Offsides is basically just, ha, look at this league. It doesn't work right. Not like even constructive criticism, just like, this league. There isn't a healthy atmosphere to talk about the league anymore.
It's
depressing.
This is a good way to start off. I like this.
It is. Because we vent here. Absolutely. And we also, promote when hey, they're doing this right. Let's give them credit. And there was a place that it was working, and then it broke up over a stupid post where mom and dad just couldn't make it work for some reason.
Oh, yeah. I see. This is why I don't do social media much. I know we have my social medias and stuff down below, but this is why I don't do it, because social media is dumb.
It really is. But
and it just invites this nonsense.
I try to stay tapped in for news about the league because that's the fastest way to get it.
Yeah.
And, that's where you're going to see rumors. You're going to, someone's coming to Utica. What kind of advice can we give them if they're first time here? But, oh my God. When are the playoffs? They've been announced since October. The situation, there are people in the Blast comments that are so are we going to get a playoff game this year, or is it all going to be on the road again because of availability?
You should already know this. They're all on the road unless you're a San Diego
fan. Or you
fan.
make the finals.
Right. But all of the keep in my mind, keep the playoffs and keep the finals separate.
That's fair.
Think of those as 2 separate things. So all of the playoffs are on the road unless you are a San Diego fan. Which we've already talked about. I mean, I have my opinions of it personally. You know, I get it. We had the playout. We had the All-Star game. So they were like, "Hey, we want the playoffs," or something like that behind closed doors. Who knows what it was? But you know, we have nice shiny boards. They have nice shiny arena. I get it.
Painfully to
That way you
look at
don't
on
have to be
TV arena
concerned.
that they do.
And it's like, I get it. You know, last year was kind of a mess as far as trying to get playoffs going. Utica was a big part of that, in my opinion, because of um, the national team that was
Yeah,
there.
the women's world
Um,
championships,
the,
and
yes.
now we have a
So that was
youth hockey world championships the same weekend that the playoffs are going on, and we're just kind of the stepchild in Utica.
yeah. So I think that's a bit. I think honestly, Utica was potentially a big factor in the fact that we kind of had things the way they are, as far as having just one
Hmm.
arena, just because of how it had to be delayed last year. I think that may be part of it. I don't know, but yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know. They're in San Diego, regardless. Whatever team you're rooting for, they're in San Diego. If Baltimore's in, it's still in San Diego. If Milwaukee's in, it's still in San Diego. Chihuahua's in, still in San Diego.
It's
Doesn't
in San
matter.
Diego.
San Diego.
Hmm. It's just,
It ain't gonna
yeah,
change.
it's too late in the season to be asking these kinds of questions. And if
Yes.
you're a casual fan,
Yes.
the place to ask it isn't just like on Facebook and hope that the team responds to you. Go to
Right.
the MASL
It's
website,
not.
look for yourself. To I don't know if you've seen this, completely unrelated, but it kind of applies. So, how AI is kind of the next big thing in the tech industry that I'm sure is going to fall apart like they always do, just like NFTs and cryptocurrency and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so many people have been posting online with responses that are just like, stop using AI, look for yourself.
Hey,
That
Katie, this is for you.
AI is now like, if you go to an AI chatbot now and you go like, why should we use AI? Some of them will respond, stop using AI, look it up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all they do is scrape. They don't actually provide any
Yeah.
information.
No, you're right. They don't. I mean, you look at the Google results, because they're. I mean, the very first thing on the top of Google now is AI
And they're wrong
generated.
like 60% of
Um,
the time.
yeah, they're wrong a good bit of the time, and that's it's pretty evident. Um, you know, even some people that I know that I work with, maybe not every day, but
Mm-hmm.
often, I know that they use AI for like menial things, and it's like, I could tell you how many times I've used AI. 3. That's it, ever. And two of them were curiosity. One of them I was actually trying to rephrase
Mm-hmm.
something. That's the only time I've ever used it, because frankly, I don't need Terminators. I know it's stupid, but you know what? I don't want to encourage the Terminators. I don't want them to learn. I don't want them to know anything about me. I will be the John Connor. I will save you all.
I messed around with the art filters at one point just to like see how bad
Fair.
they were. And no matter what
Yeah.
style it was, it all had the same kind of like sheen to it. And it turns out the most likely reason for that is, do you know who Thomas Kincaid is?
I've heard the
All
name.
right, think of any hotel or dental office or just kind of like a sitting room, a lobby,
Oh,
anywhere.
okay.
Picture that painting on the
Yep.
wall.
He probably did it.
Yes, it has that kind of like soft glow to it, but it's always the same style.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
so
yeah.
much of that out there because he saturated the market with what was essentially like a get rich quick scheme for him by selling it as an investment to the average person, and it will
Hmm.
never pan out. Uh, but
Right.
there's so much of it out there that whenever these AI programs scrape the internet for art, it oversaturates the results and will always twist it that way.
Yeah, like I said, I just AI. I'm not on board. I'm really not.
Yep.
I'm not. Like I had never have been, and I very seriously doubt I ever will
Hmm.
be. Like it's just not. It's just like Bitcoin. It wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't trust it. I'm gonna stay away from it unless there is a absolute justified reason to
Hmm.
use it, and I just don't have that.
Yeah, I used it
So
briefly for a sports betting site at one point because it was faster than getting through, having my card charged overseas to pay.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
um, yeah, just kind of one of those things that I just need to get off is, can we just be a smarter fan base in general for the league? And the answer
No,
is no,
we
because
no.
no.
Don't get me wrong. You're still looking at a small minority. You're still looking at a minority of people that are looking this stuff up, because yes, you're seeing however many posts on social media, but there are thousands of people that already know this stuff, or maybe asked a family member
Hmm.
who maybe knows better. Like this is still a minority of people that
Yeah,
we're seeing,
it's just the
but
vocal
there is
minority
ways of
that
educate.
don't know how to use the internet in 2025 that is just driving me wild.
Yeah, some people just choose not to be educated on electronic
Hmm.
communications.
Just stay off of it.
Plain and
Stay off of
simple.
it, please, for yourself
Yeah.
and for us.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, but we should actually talk about the games.
But what we shouldn't stay off of is the push to playoffs.
Yes.
And that started partially with this weekend.
It did. Yeah, not so much on Friday night, more so on their Saturday night, more so on Sunday.
I would semi beg to differ on that.
Okay.
And I'll explain that if you want to get into the game.
Yeah. We'll talk about Baltimore. TU Arena, small confines. They were having a Barks night, so kind of. I think it was a thing for raising funds for animal shelters or something like that.
Hmm. Something like that, yeah.
Um, to be honest, I didn't look into it enough, but context clues and I can figure it out. And it didn't go Utica's way. 9-6 final line, but
It
it was it was
didn't.
closer than you would have thought from the final line, but also I would say it wasn't that close at all.
Okay, now you got me
Hmm.
curious because I must have watched a different game. Um, because this was one of the closest matches that we have had in
Indeed.
Baltimore this season, hands down. And I say that because, and the reason I also bring up why I think the team looked good this whole weekend, this was not first string. This was depth
Hmm.
playing for us, whereas they had a full roster. They had Diegues, they had Pereira, Mello, everybody.
They did not
We
have
did not,
Tia Silva or Bruno Enrique. Both sat.
but they had a really good bit
Yes.
of their main roster. Jesus Pacheco, Mike Diesel, Mello, Pereira, Thomas, Diegues.
Hmm.
Like, they had their solid roster. We didn't. And we still showed up and battled to the end. Take away that last minute, there. No offense to the announcing
Hmm.
team there. As I've said, I do enjoy listening to. Oh my God,
Brad,
Brad. I don't mind Brad. The other
Paul.
one, yeah, I could take him or leave him. Um, they. Where was I going with that? Wow, completely blanked. Um, as they like to do. Oh, this game should be 10-3, but because of Andrew Coughlin, it's not. Something along those
Hmm.
lines. Well, this game should have been 9-6 or this game should have been 7-6 without those last two goals when we went six attacker. And so the fact that this team was able to hold their own and come back from a pretty heavy deficit and battle back to a 7-6 without their key players, really any of them, no Vinny, no Gordy, still no Nate, no Logan,
Hmm.
basically almost like what, 30, 35, 40% Krasnik. I mean, this is basically becoming an M2 team that's playing an M1, and they're not doing half bad. So the fact that we were able to, Manny Silva was able to net a hat trick
Hmm.
down there. I mean, this team showed that Utica has depth. And yes, they lost. But you take away the two silly goals at the end, because they were just that,
Hmm.
silly giveaways, poor giveaways that led to a quick turnaround goal. And this was a tight game right up until the buzzer. Yes, again, we had to battle back, but they did. Baltimore locks down when they're down there. When they get a lead, they lock down. We've seen it. We've seen them do it. And we battled through that.
Hmm.
So, in my opinion, this team did exceptionally well over the weekend down in Baltimore. And again, really helped to push us towards that playoff push. Granted, we still lost, but still.
Hmm.
It could have, it very likely, it potentially could have gone to overtime. It really could have.
All
But
right. Well,
I don't know.
let's. I'll let you go with the stat that tells your story, and then I'll come back with the stat that tells my more sobering take on the trip to Baltimore.
Okay, fine. I do have a stat that tells the
Okay.
story. Um, Considering what I said and the fact that this team is the depth piece has stepped up and we're able to perform, what do we do down there that we have only had like what was it, 3%
Oh, we
success
scored
on?
a power play goal.
It's still progress.
It
You have
is.
to make progress to get to, you know, something closer to perfection. We're not going to hit perfection, but you have to make progress before you can get any better. So the fact that we were able to capitalize on a power play down there in a very tough arena, a very tough environment, and we were still able to do that, that says something. That has to be, that you have to give some credit for that. That, these guys were trying. Like, Coughlin played Coughlin played a fantastic game. They were able to capitalize on a power play. Not only get it, but capitalize on it. Like, these guys did a good job. I didn't have much more than that. That was it.
Okay. Well, here's my stat that tells the story. It's kind of a 2-for-1. Utica got outshot 34-24, and the thing that kept it close was Coughlin with an above average day at a 720 save rate, whereas Julian had a subpar 600 save rate on the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
No, I
this
mean,
is a game where goalkeepers essentially played a much large. They always play a very large role in any game in this league.
Yep.
but Coughlin was 4% better than usual, and Julian was 8% worse than usual.
The announcing team said
Mm-hmm.
similar. They outlined the fact that Andrew was standing on his head. He was having a fantastic game. Other people that I was chatting with on my phone as we're watching the game, same thing. Andrew Coughlin saved that game. I'm not taking away from that, but
So offensively,
I'm
Utica
just
had a good day. Defensively, Coughlin kept him in it. That's
yes. I mean, even um who was it? Even Juan actually had a couple of missteps.
um,
I mean, there was a couple times when he lost a guy in the corner. I mean,
yeah, you
that he
you're nailing my play that
what I
changed the
take.
game.
Ah, see, I have a positive
Mm-hmm.
one.
See, my play that changed the
Um,
game there is that goal right to start the third quarter, where
mm,
Belliard and Alava had a miscommunication in the corner. They gave the ball
yep,
away, and a quick little assist from Scylla found Chad Porch, and it went 4-3 less than a minute into the fourth quarter, and Utica would never tie it, or in the third quarter, and Utica would never tie it again.
yep, yeah. No, I did notice there was at least two instances where Juan was off his man. I mean, plain and simple. I did notice that he he was absolutely playing a much more offensive defender
Mm-hmm.
that night, which that's actually something I want to mention in the next game because there were some weird setups that game. Um, but yeah, that was absolutely one thing. The defense was unfortunately not on point, um, but Andrew was, and yes, that's what kept us in that game. Oh, I don't disagree with that one little bit. He deserves to have a bad game because he's absolutely been on point all year. I talk him up all the time. I love Juan. Like he does such a good job. I don't know if you can see the chat or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I was gonna say it's not some.
Okay.
I would say he deserves a bad game. No player deserves to have a bad game, but it's one that you could, shake off as like, okay, he just had an off day. There are a lot of new
Yes.
pieces out there, but yeah, it was.
He yeah, yes, he doesn't deserve one, but he does. He's earned his keep. He's
Yes,
earned his spot, and he's integral to the team. But yes,
it's a player that's, yeah, like you said, you could just shake it off as it's not going to be a normal performance from him.
yeah, yep. It was an abnormal performance for him, and it was a stellar performance for Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, they kind of balanced out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my play was a bit different because mine was again a more positive one, which was um, there was a save where the defense actually did step up pretty well, and that was the I guess you could class it as a Gio Alves save, or was it Gio? No, did he play that
Yeah,
game? No, he didn't. I might have that. Yes, he did. Um, it was Gio Alves. So Andrew kind of juggled the ball a little bit, and Gio was there to lock it against the boards for Andrew to
mm-hmm.
get. Um, if he hadn't been there, I think that would have gone in. But he was able to help keep that out. So in my mind, it was early on in the game. It was like 2-0. And again, for me, that set the tone for the rest of the game of these guys aren't just writing this one off. Like a lot of us kind of figured maybe they should or maybe they
Mm-hmm.
would because, they're more focused on the bigger game the next day that is, we'll say, more within reach. Something like that especially with the current roster. So for me, that showed, hey, these guys are ready to battle this out. They're in this. They want this one, that they're not just phoning it in. So minor play, but it was a play that I recognized nonetheless.
Okay. I would kind of, because he was getting flack for it in the comments, is Nilton's penalty in the final 3 minutes there that kind of
Mm,
killed Utica's momentum and forced their hand to go
yeah.
six attacker in the final minute, really.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's definitely another one that it definitely impacted the game for sure.
They successfully killed that one. It's a shame they couldn't have killed one of the other two that they gave up before that. Right? Or yeah, they gave up two power play goals before that.
Yes, they gave up two. Correct.
So Andrew had a stellar save on the penalty.
I vaguely remember, but I don't at the same time. There's a lot to watch. There was a lot going on in that game, and then there was a lot to remember and rewatch. And I didn't have all the time in the world to watch it either.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was one of Silla's goals where he was it Silla or was it Diegues? He went 5-hole on Gio, and
Mm-hmm.
because Gio was lined up directly in line with Andrew and just screened the shot, it then went 5-hole on Andrew, and he had a
Mm-hmm.
double 5-hole goal.
Okay, I kind of remember.
What,
I kind of remember seeing something
the one
like
I saw,
that.
what I saw in that replay was just Gio thinking that whoever it was going to tee off on it. He kind of turned
Mm-hmm.
his head so it wouldn't hit him, and then it was just a worm burner.
Yeah,
It's like, no,
I
eyes
do
on
have
the
a
ball,
weird.
guys.
I do have a weird stat from the weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, both games
Hmm.
were tied at halftime, 3-3.
Hmm.
And then we had the tale of two different second halves.
Yeah, even second halves, third quarters.
Fair, third quarters.
But yeah, then you
But
had the two empty netters on the tiny field, and
mm,
then Utica had to hop
yeah,
in the vans, drive back home, and play at 3 o'clock the next day.
yeah. I mean, I think when I talked to the guys, I think they said they got in at like 2,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
something like
game
that.
was at 6. You're out at like, game ends about 8:30. You hit the
Yep.
showers, in the buses. It's about a 5.5 hour drive, depending on how fast you're going.
Right.
6 if you're coming from our way, but that's because we're a half hour north of Utica.
Yeah. We're a little further away,
Hmm.
but they didn't have to worry about that part.
No, no.
And then a lot of them didn't technically end up being able to go home afterwards. Some of them, it seemed like, stayed probably with others in the area, if I had to guess.
Hmm.
Um, I
Yeah,
know
there's some
at
couches
least
up on the
Juan.
third
I
floor
know
at
for a fact. I know.
Texas.
Well, yeah, I know Juan said he didn't go home, so I'm not sure where he stayed, but I know he did not go to where he normally stays. Just talking
Hmm.
to him, so yeah. I mean, it's a rough turnaround. So I mean, you're going from that and then coming straight in and 3 o'clock game the next day
Hmm.
against Harrisburg.
Ch-
And the only two roster changes from the night before were I had this
Pinal sat out.
because I
Gordy took
sent
his spot, and then
or no, I was thinking of the Harrisburg game to the Baltimore game. Never mind. I was thinking last week to this
okay.
week, the difference. So forget what I said. But yes, you are right. Pinal did sit out. Gordy played in his place. Um, I'd have to look at the rest of it, but I wasn't. I was thinking of a different game. So I was
And then
thinking of last Harrisburg
they
game to this game.
sat Toy Tavares and Kyle Genrich played.
Yes. So again, very much literally like a 40%, 30-40% M2 roster. Which I know a few of those guys ended up playing in the M2 game afterwards. But yeah, definitely I don't want to say a much better game, because that wasn't necessarily the case. It was just different opponent, fresh opponent. Almost a more typical game that what we see. They go down a couple and then come back. The only exception to that was Double G. Started us off with a goal instead of starting it at 0-2 deficit.
Yeah.
We went to a deficit, just not right away.
34 seconds in.
Yeah. Started us off with a bang. Kid Dynamite.
Boy. Gordy sparking the offense. Who could have seen that coming? What a shocker.
Yeah. We haven't had that conversation already.
Yeah, no, not every week where it's like if he's 80%, his 80% is better than the guys you're pulling up from M2.
Although, to the point in the chat, the Krasnik guys are pretty good. I will absolutely give them that. Like, I'm not saying that they're not just because they're M2, but, just the fact that we have to keep pulling them up is off-putting. But I love what I see from them every week, with a couple of exceptions.
Talent is undeniable for some of these guys, but veteran wiles and a knowing of where to be off ball and how to move through defenses is something that takes time to learn.
Of course.
And you can't replace that.
No, you can't. That comes with time, period. You have to learn it. There is no substitution.
But this ended up a 4-goal victory for Utica, 11-7. And I mean, I know I was thinking to myself at one point down 3-1, I was like, boy, it's a good thing we got a second half because this team plays a good 30 minutes. Otherwise, I'd be really worried.
And then they turned it up. They brought us back to the level before halftime, which made me happy. I mean, going into halftime tied up after being down 2, I'll take that anytime. But yes, we definitely had we had a good second. We just had a good second half. We had a good third quarter. We had a good fourth quarter. Overall, we played a good 30 minutes of soccer.
So this one, my stat tells the story is Utica's 5 unanswered goals. This sport is decided by runs more often than not. And the team that breaks off the biggest run is usually going to win a game. And, a 5-goal run, that's demoralizing if you're on the other side of it. Credit to Harrisburg for, keeping it relatively close most of the game. But if you're up 3-1, tied at halftime, and then the next time you look up and before you score again, it's 6-3, it's a gut check.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Because they flipped the script from the night before. Instead of getting outshot, they doubled up the shots from the Heat.
That was mine. That, along with power play number 2. We were able to capitalize on we capitalized on 100% of our power plays over the weekend. I will take that. That is improvement. Now we just need to continue that. I want to see. I don't want to see playing with the ball. I want to see us capitalize on these power plays and continue to capitalize on these power plays, because we need to. Because otherwise, people are just gonna be like, they're down, or they're up a man. we have a blue card. We're just gonna sit and watch them pass the ball back and forth for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So, because we're not there, we're not the only ones that look at that stat.
Yeah.
Other teams are too, of course.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the flip side was what we gave up 3 power play goals on 4 defended and the penalty
Yeah.
shot, right? So you went 2 for 3.
I doesn't that count as doesn't the penalty kick count as one?
It's not listed as one on the time summary.
Interesting.
It goes even strength, power play, blank, Dom Francis penalty kick, and then back to an even strength goal. That was Silva's that put it up 10.
That's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I do see that it says blank. I would think that would have been power play because I mean, technically it is. It is technically a power play goal because it was off of a blue card. So, but if you talk just straight up power plays, then yes, we gave up 1 of 2 for them, and we gave up 2 of 3 for Baltimore.
Yeah.
So 3 for 4 isn't great.
Yeah. What needs to change coming out this weekend?
We said it last week. I'm saying it again. We need to be healthy. We need our healthy players.
Yeah.
We need to see Gordy more if he's healthy, which seemed that way. He seemed pretty good to me that night. We need to get Vinny back on the field. I know he was assisting with, actually he was running really warm-ups. Like he was out there. He was warming the guys up. So I would really like to see, we really got to get him back on the field. And, I know Calvin's kind of doing his own thing at the moment, so that's not really getting healthy, but we could really use, the other half of the other parts of the field, getting Nate back if possible, getting Logan back if possible. I mean, we see Logan in like 72 every week. And it just seems like the frustration really is building there. Like he wants to get back on the field, and I want to see him back on the field. So I think it's just getting our roster sorted out, especially getting closer and closer to the playoffs. I mean, if we need them, like say maybe something doesn't go our way this weekend, then we need them to finish the push. Possibly. I don't want to be relying on St. Louis again.
Yeah.
Or no, we were relying on KC the one time, a couple years back. We needed, I think, KC to beat. We needed KC to beat St. Louis, and they didn't.
Yeah, it's I mean, I have the same thing. My what needs to change is same thing as always. Is you gotta get healthy. And we got to clean up our defensive mistakes that we keep making in our defensive. That Dos Santos goal was ugly.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I forget who was on him, but they turned, they watched where the ball went, and he just snuck right behind him for a quick give and goal, unguarded.
Yeah.
Like it's the kind of stuff that I remember getting yelled at about in varsity by a coach that didn't do well. And then we got yelled at about, not yelled at, but coached about the next year by a coach that led us to an undefeated number 2 ranking in the state. And then our senior year, we didn't really care as much because the coaches flat out told us they were living vicariously through us. And it's like, oh, this is about you. It's not about us. Why do we care? We're just gonna hear it's our senior year. We're just gonna have a good time with it. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose.
Right.
But yeah, no, you can't ball watch. You can't give the ball away in your defensive third that frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have some of the bad miscommunications we have.
That, and I think that kind of comes from something we actually talked about a couple seasons ago. Back when I think it was, I want to say it was 2 seasons ago, when we still had Bo around, and we had a lot of new guys.
Mm-hmm.
We had the veteran talent that, and I'm not saying that this is the exact case, but it's similar. Back then, the veteran talent just wasn't necessarily meshing with the new talent. In
Mm-hmm.
this case, there's just so much changing in the talent week to week, which we've also talked about, um, that it's hard to almost learn what your fellow team members are going to be doing at certain times, and really being able to hone in on their actions. So, I think having that would be ideal too.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the chemistry is not chemistrying. It's like everything looked good at the beginning of the season. You had the flavor right on your mixed drink, and then you turned away for a second, and someone snuck a shot of Everclear in while you weren't looking.
yes, that.
Eventually you'll get used to it, but it's going to take a little bit.
Yeah, it absolutely will. So
Um,
it's we just got to firm things up. Really, is what it is. We just need to firm things up.
yeah, and luckily we get Harrisburg this weekend again, and then Baltimore, and Baltimore's got some interesting travel arrangements we'll talk about that might play into Utica's hand here. Uh,
Potentially.
potentially, we'll see. But for that, let's take our positive takeaways from this weekend. I'm just going to list off a bunch because they're all kind of like short, quick things. And that is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gordy looks healthy.
He
He,
does.
he had a
Yep.
little bit more speed than he had his last time out there. Um, his second goal, where he just kind of curled around the defender to get it off the boards for a Walla Scora,
Yes.
fantastic. Three
He was
quarter
purdy.
turf, like a step in front of the three line. He looks great, and we need him for the playoffs.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that he's around for that.
It's just gonna be a quick little congratulations to a bunch of M2 guys. Ricky collected his first points this weekend. He has been
He
leading
sure
M2
did.
in assists, and so it should come as no surprise to say that all of his points this weekend came on the assist. Kyle Genrich, first career goal, and Manny Silva, first career hat trick.
Yeah.
And we've got to give this guy flack. He's a regular on the team. He's heated it up. Gio Alves has points in 7 or 8 straight games, and 3 of his last 4, he has multiple points. So I know, like I talked about, well, he
Another
kind
one.
of turned his head away, got 5-hold. But if you're going to concede a goal and you're contributing to 2 goals, that's still a net
Yeah.
positive. We can live
Yeah.
with that.
Net positive. The scales are still in your
Yes, we
favor
can't
there.
live with the net negatives, but we can live with the net positives.
Right.
And, hopefully it's a sign of good things to come for him.
That's what we want to see. We want to see these, obviously we want to see these guys succeed and continue to succeed. Ricky definitely, he's a little spitfire on the turf. I've noticed it and I've enjoyed it and I'm glad to see it. He's going to be dangerous. Like, give him time and he's going to be nasty.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys are like, what we're seeing now. Think about this. What we're seeing from these guys right now is similar to things that we were saying 2-3 years ago about Gio, about Milton, about Ronnie, about Keaton. We were saying these things about those guys, and some of them have faltered a little bit due to, injuries or just bad seasons, but some of them are stepping up, and these guys are showing that same level of talent and determination in like their first year, that in a couple of years they're going to be tough to deal with. So I look forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to and hoping that they continue to develop in Utica.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to add positive besides the power play goals you've already mentioned?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much nailed just about everything. I mean, I don't think we ever talked about a play that changed the game on that one, but that's okay.
I did. I said it was the 5-0 run.
Fun. Oh, that was a stat that tells the story.
Yeah,
You skipped over like everything. Because we both agreed on the shots, and I talked about the power play, and then
kept going.
Tangent. Yeah.
Whatever. It was the Gordy second goal for me. It sparked the 5-0 run. It was that great curl around on the defender. Boom. That's my play. It got Utica back in it.
So, what was mine? I literally had it, and I was so excited that I had it, and now it's gone, and I'm sad.
I just skimmed right by my show notes. I scrolled down too far.
Yeah, you threw me way off here. Holy moly. I don't remember what mine was. I liked mine. Because I want to say that it was... Maybe it was the Gordy. I actually think it might have been the Gordy goal. The 3-2. Because, again, talking about Ricky, it was a good back and forth between the two. And it was a good steal, good recovery from stealing, and just leading right into it. Like, because that was actually what I had paused when I was just looking at my feed. So I think that was actually it. So you stole that too.
Knowing how Gordy's taken Ricky under his wing as like his protege, seeing them on the field together, leading up to that goal, it was just kind of like, it's got to happen, right? These two have to connect for a goal. And it worked out. So you love to see it.
Yeah, it was great. It was overall, it was just a great game to watch. I just enjoyed it.
All right, let's talk playoffs. Because we got 2 weeks left. Utica's got 4 games left. We'll do a quick check-in on the standings. Chihuahua still sits atop with 52 points. San Diego with 48. Kansas City 44. After that, Baltimore at 36. Utica at 34. Empire, Milwaukee are tied at 33. And then you have the next two, Tacoma 26, St. Louis 24, and Dallas, Texas, and Harrisburg round out the bottom. They've all been eliminated. So there are 9 teams competing for 8 spots. Really, all that's left to shake out is where the top 7 are going to be and who gets the 8th one.
Right.
So over the final 2 weeks, here's what we have. Chihuahua can reach 58 points, and they probably will, because their final 2 games are at Harrisburg.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, depends on who they bring. If they really care that much about being number 1 seed, which I don't know if they do. I mean, I think they do, and I think they don't, because Monterey last year, head of the table. There was no contest there. And maybe they're trying to also get head of the table in regular season this year. Maybe they want it. And in order to maintain it, they would need to win both games. If San Diego were to go on a run and win their 3 games. So if they really want that, then it's within reach. They just need to win those 2 games. So, but if they don't, and if they don't care which spot they're in between 1 and 2, because there's no difference, really. You're still playing the first day. It would just matter by opponent. Then, I mean, they basically are almost taking their pick between, well, just whoever's in. I know that 6 or 7 and 8 are a little in flux at the moment.
Yeah. So Chihuahua can't fall further than the top 3, but they could fall to 3. They could fall to 3. San Diego maxes out at 57, and Chihuahua maxes out at 50, or Kansas City maxes out at 56. So in theory, both of those teams could pass Chihuahua if they don't sneak away with some points at Harrisburg.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a true. That's a good point.
And San Diego's 3 games, they got 2 against Little Brother Empire, a home and home series, and they close out the season. Wow.
Really?
Oh.
Really? It's that kind of show now.
They close out the season.
Wow.
At home. I tried to say they close out the season at home, and it just all came at one time. God damn it! I can't even say that.
I have never seen you so red.
It all got scrunched together into one word.
Good phrasing. Yeah, it's a lot better.
But their last game is at Oceanside against Tacoma.
Yeah. So Empire, yes. Tacoma.
Whereas Kansas City's final 4 games are a home and home with Tacoma, and then they come to us, and then they go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore, most likely going to be the 4 seed. They have 5 games more than anyone else, which works against them, I would say, going into the playoffs. Just wear and tear at this point in the season.
Yeah, and it can allow for other teams
travel.
Yeah, because we know that they're doing some traveling worse than us this weekend. I know we'll get to it.
Yeah, but they play Friday night in Milwaukee, have to hop a plane, make it back to Baltimore for Saturday, and then they have 3 games after that where they go to Harrisburg and then host Texas and Kansas City to close out the year.
Yeah, which I would assume that is their travel is probably a good reason why the game got pushed back a little bit. Because for those that don't know, because, some people don't know, if they don't know the playoffs, they might not know the schedule of the games. That game on Saturday against Utica in Baltimore did get pushed back to 7:35 from 6. So 7:30. Don't be surprised when the game is not on at 6 o'clock. Just throwing that out there.
After that, you have teams that are vying for 5, 6, and 7. 5 seed probably going to play Baltimore. 6 seed will go up against wherever shakes out between Chicago or Chihuahua, San Diego, and Kansas City. I don't know.
You moving teams around here? The Chicago Chihuahuas?
And the 7 seed might have the benefit of an extra day of rest if they can pull off an upset.
Yes.
That's a pretty big if, but you never know.
It is a big if.
Utica City maxes out at 46 points. We still have 4 games left.
Mm-hmm.
This is the start of the teams that have not clinched playoffs yet. Utica can clinch
Right.
Friday versus Harrisburg. And then we have to travel down to Baltimore on Saturday.
They just need an overtime win,
Yes. Two
correct?
points would
Yeah,
clinch.
they just need an overtime
Two
win.
points would clinch. We
Mm-hmm.
just need to win.
Right.
And then Baltimore Saturday. Next weekend will be a Friday and Sunday games against Kansas City and Texas.
Right. Both in
Mhm.
Utica.
Empire, as we've already said, home and home against San Diego. They close things out on the road at Dallas, and Dallas has waved
Yep.
the white flag, and they did that before they were officially eliminated.
Yeah.
But they max out at 42. Milwaukee, because they have that extra game left to play, maxes out at 45 points.
Right.
They have Friday's game against Baltimore. Then they host Texas. And then they have a home and home series with St. Louis, which could
Right.
decide that final playoff spot depending on what Tacoma does. Um, they're at the disadvantage here. The Stars have only 3 games to play, and they max out at 35 points. And they have that home and home with Kansas City and the road game at San Diego. St. Louis, which has won 4 of 5 since shedding the Taiyu brothers and
Mm-hmm.
making a whole bunch of
Yeah.
moves to get younger. Uh, and Utica handed them a 4-goal advantage through during that, but we talked about that already. I'd rather not tread down that road again.
Oh, why
Their
not? It's
final
fun.
4 games, they get a Texas two-step, which the way those teams are going, that could be an easy 6 points. And then
Could
that
be.
home and home with Milwaukee. So
Which again, depending on how they are kind of shaking up in the
mhm.
playoffs and how happy they are with their potential positioning, roster not roster availability, but
Who do they
who
sit?
they're
Who
going
do
to
they
want to
play?
choose to
Yeah.
play. Exactly.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things shake out this weekend, but next weekend could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Like you said, top 3, it's going to be Chihuahua, San Diego, Kansas City, barring one
Right.
team completely falling apart. Um, Baltimore is the most.
It seems to be that way.
Baltimore's the most likely 4 seed. Utica, Milwaukee, and Empire still got to shuffle things around a little bit, and then
Right.
Tacoma and St. Louis will fight for the last seed. If the season ended today, Utica plays Baltimore on the second day of the playoffs.
Correct.
Would you agree or disagree, and why, that that would be their best potential matchup if they don't fall to like the 7 seed and get Kansas City or get Chihuahua?
So you're saying just so that I make sure I
Yeah.
understand the question properly. Um, Out of the people that are battling for for these spots, that they are the best option for us to be playing against in San
Yes.
Diego. I would rather have Empire.
Well, that's not likely to happen because
I
Empire,
know it's not.
the most logical at this point, the most logical matchup is Baltimore.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Empire to
Illogical things have
yeah, I
happened.
know, but Empire is a point behind us, and we have a game in hand. So it
Right.
seems highly unlikely that they would jump us and Baltimore, which has a 3 point advantage and 3 games in or 2 games in hand to get to that 4 seed. And then Baltimore would
Who
still
said
have to
that?
fall down to 6 and keep Utica at 5 for us to match up with Empire. Because it's 1v8, 2v7, 3, 6, and 4 and 5.
I mean, I was going to say who said that, like Milwaukee could jump both of us, couldn't jump all three, and then we end up against Empire.
No, if Milwaukee jumps all three, that would put them at 4, would bump Utica back to 6, and Empire would drop to 7. And then Empire would be playing San Diego.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yep.
Like, barring a Baltimore implosion, they're going to be the 4 seed.
Yeah, it's pretty. I was just trying to make it interesting. Yeah, I mean, out of all of those, and given the fact that we would not be playing them in TU, I think that they would be probably the best matchup given where we're at, given the kind of evidence that we have of the current status of both teams, and just the likelihood of it of that potentially happening versus other
weird
potential
lied down your face
eventualities. Sorry, I just wanted to turn the.
It is because of the light
quick
from the door.
Oh, don't mind.
There it is.
Yeah, I know I do. And
okay.
I think it's because of the light. It is because of the light from the. It's because of the light from the bathroom. Yeah. So. It'll go soon, I promise. See? But, yeah, I mean, they would probably be... Again, I'm just glad we're not playing them at home. I'm glad it's not a home and home. Because they would also most likely have the higher seed, and because they have the higher seed, that would have been old rules from last year, and we would have been playing at home in Utica, and then
if there's
in Baltimore,
a team that you want on
Baltimore,
the road,
eventually
in the playoffs,
in
it's
Baltimore.
I
would not want to do. So
at the moment, 4-5
I'm all for the single elimination.
And they play at Milwaukee, 6-1-2 at home, and they play at Harrisburg, where they always struggle.
Yeah.
It is a rug thrown down on rock hard dirt.
Yeah, and as you said,
it is.
Everybody struggles on that turf. As you said, I know I walked on it. I walked on it twice. I walked on it both nights that weekend. That sucks. We've walked on the turf in Utica, and it's so soft, and and it's turf. Yes, that is a rug on dirt. But also what you said previously is that those 5 games could work against them. They are having a harder stretch closer to the games that really matter.
Okay, so that's the playoff picture as it stands now. We'll revisit it next week, and then obviously we'll revisit it before the actual playoffs. Yeah, to address that, no clue.
And I have no idea
the best
about
thing
Marquez.
I could say would be
I don't know anything. I know
Kansas
nothing.
City does have a podcast. Eric Bergrud co-hosts it. He's posted it a couple times. They could. Brandon, you see the last comment now?
Yeah, I see the last comment. Yeah, I see it.
Broke it.
I broke. I don't know. I'll turn the background off. I doubt that's gonna do anything, but
what's the name of their podcast?
We'll see. Otherwise, I haven't done anything. I haven't changed anything.
Something like that. It's gotta be. Kansas City Star wrote about
Isn't it like the blue turf or
Is it the
something
blue
like
turf?
that?
Okay. Well, yeah, that's probably the best place to get any information from them.
The blue turf. Yeah, it's literally called the blue turf.
But this weekend, we got a home game Friday, road game Saturday. Get to our predictions. We split the weekend. So we're tied at 10-10 with 4 games left coming down to the end of it. And we finally get to the promotion that I've been waiting for all year. It's Hawaiian shirt night. Beat the heat night. They're going to try to set the world record for the most Hawaiian shirts in one place. Grab them.
Kind of been looking forward to this one, too.
We only have
Don't
to
get me
beat
wrong.
like 1,500. I do. I don't know. But
I don't have one.
I don't know, but I'm excited.
Why aren't they selling them?
If I can get out, I'll be rocking mine.
They
I
should
don't know.
be selling
It's been
Hawaiian shirts.
a rough stretch for everybody. Like, I worked 35 hours this weekend with no breaks. And that wasn't even the worst among staff there. So, like, yeah.
Oof.
We're all doing as well as we can at this point.
Hello, Hubert.
It's the final game against Harrisburg.
That's all you can do.
There's a question. You have a question to pose.
Oh, that's right. I haven't. I never posed the question, but
Okay.
It actually plays into this weekend, so I'll hold it for a minute.
Well,
it does play into the 2 games. So
I say we go all out for beat the Heat because Utica hasn't lost to the Heat in almost 2 seasons. We've won 11 games straight. Yeah, I know a funny fact about the game that we lost to them last time. So I pointed it out earlier this year.
I love funny facts.
Utica has failed to win a single game this season when Shane Butler's the referee. The last time Utica lost to the Heat was in overtime in Utica. Guess who the referee was? That's the one where
Really?
you can see me yelling at him as he goes to make a review from the beer garden. Yeah.
Oh,
to do his job right for one time and he still messed it up. So this rivalry goes. So as long as he's not there, I've got Utica winning this one 10-8.
Well, funny enough, no, I'm just kidding. I have no idea if he's going to be there or not. 10-8. Okay. And you're saying we go full force?
I'm saying we go full force. You have to clinch. Just clinch.
Yes, I
worry
agree
about seeding later.
Yep, I totally agree. And I think if we go in with the exact same roster we had this weekend against Harrisburg, maybe even potentially have Vinny. If we have Vinny, if he's healthy and available, we need to play him for this one. And so beyond that, I would say you had what, 10-8?
I'm going 10-8.
I am going to say, I'm going to say 9-4.
Okay.
I maybe not hit double digits, but get real close and still a score we can feel good about.
Yeah. It's at home. We've put up an 11 spot and a 12 spot against them so far this season, which is why I'm thinking high.
Yep.
We've also allowed 5 goals and 7 goals. And I don't know. I just have a bad feeling that
Well, stop it. Stop having bad feelings.
That we're just going to see another heavy M2 lineup.
Yeah.
and because of the back-to-back games. And the playing each other this rapidly breeds familiarity.
It does.
So I expect it to be a little bit closer. So if I'm saying we're going to get double digits, I got to give them credit too.
Oh, and after this weekend, we are still
Yeah, I did
tied.
mention that already. I was trying
Did
to
you?
fill
I
it
don't
while you were
remember
trying
that.
to figure out your little audio out of
Oh,
sync.
okay. Which I don't even know if that ended up fixing it or not. I did change my setting back, and I have no idea. Um, but yeah. But now I'm gonna insert my
Okay.
question in here, or rather, Huber's question. And I think we are. I think you kind of have already answered it, and I'm of the same mindset. If we win Friday, if we clinch Friday, do we rest our big players for the rest of the year? Not just Saturday,
Oh,
but the remainder of the season. The remainder of
no,
the season.
no. You risk rust at that point.
Yeah.
You do if you want to rest him Saturday, avoid the back to back, absolutely. If you
Yeah.
want to say rest him against Texas, who has been whatever they've been this year, fine.
They've been Texas. Well, no, actually, they're not
No,
typical
they're not the
Texas, are they?
Texans of the
Because
past couple of years.
no.
To be a team that got gutted like they did, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I would say if you're going to play them again, you play them against Kansas City just because you're two playoff teams at that point,
Yes.
and you really need to see where you stand against another playoff team. Uh, the Utica this year is what was 5, 6? I think they're 7-1 against teams that aren't currently in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're like 3-8-1 against teams that are in the playoffs, and that's not a good sign.
It's not ideal. No, not really.
Um, so you really need to gauge where you're at. So I say go all out against Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want us to develop rust between now and the end of the season. So I 100% agree that, we need to be playing our guys. Maybe not every game, but we need to be playing them to keep them fresh. So a decent
Yeah, if
bit.
they're healthy, I need to know that Vinny and Logan and Gordy are all at game speed.
Yes.
And I mean, at this point, Nilton is 1 point away from getting a one-game suspension. He's
Yeah.
racked him up really quickly in the past few games.
Unfortunately.
So the good thing is regular season suspensions don't carry over into the playoffs. So if
Right.
he picks up number 7 to end the year, he would be suspended for the first game next year. But if he could just,
Right. And not.
get that out of the way before the last game of the year or sit him the last game of the year so he can't pick it up, that'd be
Right.
great.
That'd be great. Really great.
Uh,
Yeah,
Huber, optimal seed. We already talked about that. I think 5 if you're going to play
you missed
Baltimore.
it.
If you somehow drop to 7, you would hope to play Chihuahua, but you want to take advantage of these teams that are far better at home than they are on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the two most likely. Because you're not going to match up with Milwaukee or Empire. So those are your best options. Kansas City hasn't been great on the road comparatively, but they've also been down Rian Marquez, and depending on when he gets back, that changes things.
Right, because I'm sure he's trying his darndest to get
Yeah.
back in time for playoffs, and they're doing everything they can to get him back.
Yeah, we'll have to just see what happens.
Right.
Yeah, so that brings us to Saturday's game at Milwaukee. or at Baltimore after they play Milwaukee.
I'm like, we are not going to that turf this year,
Yeah, I'm
sir.
looking at them on my screen right now, and that's just where I read it, words came out my mouth.
Not the first time tonight. Anyway.
Shut
up. So, Baltimore.
Baltimore. I don't know. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I knew you were
I took
going
the lead
to.
on the last
You
one anyway.
Suck. Yeah, you did. I was trying to make you do it. I was trying to make you take both of them while I looked at Hawaiian shirts. So I still don't feel good about Baltimore. I feel better about Baltimore than I did. Why do you have to steal my thunder, Huber? Why do you have to do this? Why? Why did you have to take my score even? You, sir. You. Bad. Go sit in the corner. Go grab your Reese's peanut butter cup. You sit in the corner and think about what you've done. I was literally going to say that because things were much closer this past weekend, and if Baltimore maybe starts sitting people a little bit, and then we start sitting people, but it didn't matter that we were sitting people because look at our performance this past weekend with basically a 30-40% M2 roster, we were going to come back and actually take a win down in TU and get. I was literally going to say 7-6 and grumble. 7-6 Utica. Yeah.
7-6 Utica. Okay.
Angry and sad and frustrated all at the same time.
Well, depending on how much Baltimore augments their team on Saturday with M2 players, it could be interesting.
It could be.
But if I clinch playoffs on Saturday, as much as I'd like to steal a game at TU,
you mean clinch on Friday?
If I clinch on Friday, whatever. If I clinch against Harrisburg, as much as I'd like to steal a game at TU and go 2-4 against Baltimore instead of 1-5, I'm resting as many regulars as I can.
Right.
And that includes Andrew Coughlin. It may not be an ideal situation to throw Andrew Taylor into for his first game.
More ideal than the last one. Yeah,
for his first game in a month, but it's better than Chihuahua. And to quote Huber, it's all gravy at that point. You've made the playoffs. Your goal at that point has to become advancing beyond the first round.
Right.
Because
which is something we have not been able to do.
Yeah, we were told that there's a 3-year plan for Everton as coach. The first year was rebuild. We made the playoffs and we won the play-in game to make it into the first round.
Correct.
So we were ahead of schedule. They made it to the playoffs last year, and our head coach and our leading scorer had to go
took a field trip,
qualify for a national team.
Right.
And that didn't happen. So we got eliminated in the first round again. This team hasn't made it out of the first round since they moved to Utica. You have to show improvement. You have to win the first round. Rest your players Saturday. Play them again the following Friday if you want. Or if they're healthy, just see if they're up to speed. Keep that rust off. And then rest them on Sunday against Texas. But no reason to push it in back-to-back days. So I'm going to give this one again to Baltimore. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna run it back with
Ooh,
a 9-6.
back to back. Mm,
Yeah, they may have to fly back to Baltimore, Huber, but barring a screaming baby kicking the back seat of their chair on the plane, those plane chairs are more comfortable than any van.
I'm gonna be that screaming baby. I'm
So
gonna get
you're
on a
gonna
plane.
actually miss the game on Friday, so you can go to Milwaukee, figure out which plane you can be on, and then just throw a hissy fit and get arrested by an air marshal.
Taking one for the team. You know, doing what I can for Utica.
Good luck.
Which in the end, it technically really does nothing for us.
Yeah, and Steve does raise a good point. Giving Taylor a little bit more experience in the regular season could be a good thing, especially in a hostile
I agree.
environment. Should Coughlin pick up a blue card, which, boy, he ran up to the line and tiptoed a couple times this weekend.
Yeah.
He didn't cross the line, but he ran up to it and he stood there and shouted across it, basically.
He was shouting like that old man in that where the kids are invading his yard. You darn kids! He got real close to that fence.
So, yeah, depending on spread and outcome, we could enter the final weekend tied at 11.
We could. I don't wanna.
Let's see what happens.
That's why I tried to. That's why I tried to go off script and make an
Yeah,
interesting
that's
prediction.
fair. Believe that's everything from us though tonight. Give our predictions. We talked
Yes.
playoffs. We got to vent a little bit about some boomery Facebook groups and AI problems. Um, give me more Hawaiian shirt nights and less Bitcoin nights, Dallas.
I can't believe
That
that's a
is
thing. Uh, that hurts. Okay, that really hurts me. The fact that that is a thing is painful.
like if they're gonna give a promotional night, give it to something useful, like your local trash collectors. They do more than
Yeah.
Bitcoin ever has or ever will. Yeah, yeah, Jack, we weren't complaining like about the league like the Facebook groups do. We were complaining about the Facebook groups themselves. Um, Specifically me. That like illegally offsides has just been turned into a poo-poo the league. They can do nothing right group. In the box is essentially dead, other than Huber posting his updates, and MASL off the wall is an echo chamber of people asking the same question, which if they just went to the league website, they could answer themselves. Or if they
Hmm.
searched in the group, they could answer themselves.
They could, but they won't.
Uh,
And how dare you tell them what to do?
Britt, I'll have to send you a video. I think you'll enjoy it, but it's a guy just doing a skit all the time as like
Hmm.
boomers doing this, boomers doing that. And one of
Yeah.
them is at tech repair. And he's like, I won't repeat that because we don't need to get the head of MASL Media in trouble. Um, oh,
Oh.
oh, that's right, because you exist and it makes old Monopoly Man uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say it. That guy's a bigot.
Fair. Anyway.
Um, yeah, really bringing things down here at the end. But
Yeah, that went off the rails real fast.
this
So.
gentleman, he does sketches. A lot of them just the most recent one I saw was Boomer at like tech repair. Like, fix my iPad. Like, oh, the screen's broken. How'd that happen? Uh, Sir, can I get your name to see if it's under warranty? Are you trying to steal my information? No, sir, I need your name so I could look up if you have the warranty. Do you know? I'm not sure. Just in the computer. He gets the name out of him and he looks it up and he's like, so it says here you didn't buy the extended warranty. I distinctly remember I did that.
Of course. They always assume that they did.
It's like, yo, man, some of these reactions have been too real to those of us in the service industry. Uh, Sorry, you guys joined the party late. We're wrapping it up here. This is kind of our outro, kind of a cold closing instead of a cold opening, but
it's just all cold.
Until we beat the heat Friday, break out the Hawaiian shirts if you got them.
I have one now.
Nice. I got mine. Again, don't know if I'll be out, but I can always give it to Katie. She can wear it.
I had just for you. I didn't have an opportunity to do it, but I had taunts just for you. For one player in particular. I might use them on Friday.
I have a positive one for an opposing player if I can get out there. Which it's just going to be thanking them for being a good sport about the taunts.
Mine wasn't, but mine wasn't also, it was in good fun with the rest of it. So, not saying it because I'm going to use it.
All right.
I think that's all we got, though.
So we'll be there Friday. We'll have a good time.
Hopefully.
Go fill up 72 afterwards. Buy from the bar. Do not buy food, please. Please. We're so tired. We all want to go home.
Everything.
But I need
I know
food.
you want your cheesy fries, Caitlin.
I need Oreos.
You need the Oreos?
I do.
They are pretty good Friday.
I don't. I really don't. Yeah, I know. I had them again this week.
It's the puff pastry that they're in instead of like the funnel cake batter that most places do them in.
Still, they're still good.
They are delicious. It's always a shame when you're like portioning them out and you drop one on the floor and you have to be like, well, that means there's 4 here that aren't going to work into an order of 5. Got to find out what to do about that.
I volunteer to distribute.
That's a good question.
Jack, to address that, because of all the catering commitments, for the National Guard that's still running Marcy, for we've also got a hockey tournament at Nexus this weekend that we're catering because the normal kitchen would be doing that, but they have to do the catering for the National Guard. 72 will be opening post game for the Utica University Pioneers NCAA Elite 8 round, I believe, because they're not to the Frozen Four yet. It'll be opening at 3 o'clock after the game, hopefully for celebrations. We just don't have the staff to open beforehand.
I mean, it's good to know, though. That way, we don't try and, come by beforehand.
I mean, I'm looking at a 14-hour...
You've made them sad now.
I'm sorry. We've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 200 people on top of the kitchen also being partly used to feed the National Guard plus regular business. I'm looking at a 14-hour day on Friday. Yeah, like I said, don't buy food from us after the game.
Keep that one.
Buy all the food you want before the game. After the game, you just want drinks.
And Oreos.
Yeah, no problem, Jack.
No, that is nice if, those boomer questions.
Well, no, this one's legitimate because we
no, I know.
Can't get our hours out there for some reason.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
They'll figure it out.
We'll see everybody Friday. Wear
Yes.
your Hawaiian shirts.
I plan to.
And if the team wanted to do things right, you commit to the bit. The walk-in song needs to scrap the usual one and go with the opening number from Lilo and Stitch, Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. Let's go all in.
I wanted to see I wanted to see Hawaiian shirts in the store. That would have been perfect. I would have, and not just one. Have a couple designs. Like that would have been cool.
I have to go back and check. It's gonna be buried on the website, but I will find it. Dasher Lights, first Calvin, Oliver hat trick, Barbara O'Shelley, Nate Bordeaux, All-Star Game, signings, home opener, unification in September. Where is the announcement? Because they announced the promotional games, and that had more details than just like the promotional game page. And I could have sworn that they said there was going to be, okay, there it is, October 30th. No, that's 2022. That is the wrong year.
That is
23, 24.
Way off.
I don't know. I'll have to dig around. I could have sworn they said there's going to be some kind of promotional game, but or like a giveaway for shirts. But that was many, many months ago.
Oh, yeah, that was a bit. Oh.
Yeah, I'll dig around when we're off stream. But anyway, until next time, I'm Matt. He's Brandon. Go Utica.
Let's get all the Sogs this weekend and hit the playoffs on the ground running.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing. Go Utica City.